to the regular Le Mans 24 hours qualifying single car over a lengthy period of time. Nurburgring in July, and then we get on the long hauls for the 6 hours of Mexico, 30 September, then off to Texas, the 6 hours of the Circuit of the Americas, the 16th of September, Japan, China, and then finishing and wrapping up the season in Bahrain. But of course, back to 20 minutes here, 25 minutes per qualifying session at Spa for round 2 for the longer circuit. But this circuit, tight, technical, testing for the drivers and punishes mistakes.
It's just 5.1 kilometres in length around this Nurburgring circuit. We've split it into 3 sections, so we'll be able to keep up with who's quick, where, when and how. The winners last year, Porsche in LMP1, the Signatec Alpine in LMP2, the Ferrari in GTE Pro and the Aston Martin in GTE Am. Come qualifying though last year, it was the Audi on pole in LMP1. In LMP2 it was the G-Drive car. In GTE Pro, it was the Aston that was on pole position. And in GTE Am, it was the Proton Porsche that was on pole position, if you go back to the Saturday 12 months ago. So, the last few moments, we had a 1 hour free practice session this morning. We had 3 hours of track time yesterday morning and afternoon. The quickest time that we have had so far this weekend was set this morning by the Porsche GT team in GTE Pro, 1:56.2. It was indeed this car here, Richard Leitz and Fred Makoviecki, in that beautiful 911 RSR, as the Aston Martin was chasing. Not much between them, of course. Just a 1/10 of a second between the Porsche and the number 95 Aston Martin, rather than the number 97 that we saw there. That was the winning car from Le Mans. Here is Davide Rigon, the Italian, just getting ready to jump into his Ferrari, sharing with Tony Verlander here this weekend.
Yep, Sam Bird, one of a number of drivers with other engagements this weekend. Number 98 Aston Martin in the chase now for the LMGT Am Championship, but trailing at the moment behind the Clearwater Racing Ferrari after a couple of cracking results for the Singapore-based team. This, the pre-season favourite, I think, Toby, the 98 Aston Martin. They've got a chase on their hands now. But both GT classes looking nicely balanced, as indeed did the balance of performance at the Le Mans 24 Hours. And this race marks the first results of the brand new automatic balance of performance process. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we see the cars back out on track. But Ferrari in particular, I think, looking for a good result here to blow away maybe a few of the cobwebs that we've seen from them earlier in the season.
Home race, obviously, for Porsche with their new for 2017 911 RSR. The Aston Martin, though, coming off that Le Mans victory. The Ferraris looking to assert themselves with the 488. And the Fords looking to get back into it at the sharp end as well in the Pro class. Here we have the Wainwright Barker car, the Gulf Racing car. It's a very different look to the 2017 car. That's the way that the Am category works. You have to have a car that's more than a year old, but a faithful steed for them.
And in fact, a 2015 spec car, as indeed is the other GT Am car, because the 2016 car not felt to be a sufficient move forward for either those teams to justify the investment in the upgrade. A reasonable crowd here on a day that didn't particularly promise the sunshine we're currently seeing. Paddock and pit walk were pretty well packed, and those stands will fill even further as we get closer to the 3 o'clock start. For 20 minutes, 2 drivers per team, as usual, must qualify the car. One fastest time lap from each of those drivers will count towards an aggregate, an average time. That will determine pole position in either class, and indeed what could prove to be a vital single point in the championship.
Absolutely. The Aston Martin guys have been busy since the Le Mans 24 Hours. After the victory they had there on June the 18th, they've been going to celebrations at the factory, going to the Goodwood Festival of Speed, lots of PR and media and sponsor appearances, and quite right too. You need to capitalise upon that. You know, the focus of many people's season being the big race, and now they can focus on the championship And let us not forget, for 2017, there is a Drivers' Championship in GT Pro.
It is indeed a World Championship, and that's, well, it's an additional motivation, shall we say, to our professional driver friends down there. They love to win the big races, but there's nothing quite like having World Champion on your CV. 8 minutes or 7.5 minutes to go until this session goes live. This new 911 RSR, Toby, if you like, the newest car in the field for the 2017 season, mid-engine now, which sounds extraordinary to anybody that's a follower of Porsche history, and particularly Porsche 911 history. Moving the weight forward in the car, giving the car better balance, helps the car to perform more evenly over a full stint and a full race. I think we're yet to see its ultimate potential. It needs a good result here, particularly on home ground, to keep in the ultimate hunt before we get onto the flyways. But, there are no weak links in this GT Pro chain.
No, and we saw that at the end of Le Mans, at the end of 24 hours, with, well, throughout the 24 hours, with 5 different manufacturers leading the class, and only what you were telling me this morning, a change of position so close to the flag,
Absolutely.
but for a podium.
Well, number one, of course, we saw that absolutely astounding battle between the Corvette and the Aston Martin for the overall win, but the Corvette picking up a puncture with a run through a gravel trap and being chased down by a charging Harry Tincknell in the 67 Aston Martin, who took new tyres at their final splash for fuel. Harry driving the wheels off that Ford and overtaking the Corvette into the penultimate turn of the race for second position. I believe that is the latest overtake for a significant podium position in modern Le Mans history. So team's ready to dispatch these fabulous looking things. Everything done at pace here. They don't want to make mistakes, but they will be using every opportunity to go through the routines.
30 seconds to go green, under 30 seconds to go green. Advise your drivers concerning track limits, please.
Okay, a few people using a little bit too much of this German real estate over free practice. A couple of lap times being taken away from drivers, but they now know
10,
that the pressure is
9,
on.
8,
As the clock
7,
ticks down,
6,
another 5 seconds to go.
4, 3, 2, 1. Pit exit should be green. Qualifying
And the 20-minute qualifying session for the GTE class
for the absolute respect of track limits during qualifying session.
is now underway.
And it's GTM cars to the fore at the moment. The Clearwater Racing car first out into the fray. Matt Griffin at the wheel of that car. Pedro Lamy follows him out in the number 98 Aston Martin. They are the first two in the championship standings. Matteo Caroli in the number 77 Dempsey Proton Porsche, and Mike Wainwright in the 86 Gulf UK car. First, the Pro cars, meanwhile, to emerge from pit lane is the number 95 car in the hands of Marco Sorensen.
Kelly, just a reminder from race director, they'll be watching track limits and they will be discounting laps if we use them. So T1 and T4 in particular, we need to be very careful. Yeah, copy. No problem.
Okay, Stefan Mucker just being told in his ears and repeated from race control, just be careful.
Olivier Pla. It was Olivier. But yes, I mean, what we've seen, well, throughout Eduardo Freita's time here is he will put down a marker for the teams, particularly in free practice and in qualifying about track limits. Takes it extremely seriously. We've had a couple of pretty major incidents in the lead up, well, a couple of extraordinary incidents in the lead up to the race this weekend so far, and track limits are going to be firmly part of this, so watch out for that. We will be too, to see whether track limit violations results in a lap or two going. We saw that, of course, at Spa. It's Johnny Adams' fiancée, Rachel Brunton, in the middle of shot there. Johnny due to get married in December, keeping it well out of the motorsport season. We're laughing, but they do plan around these things, of course. 95 car, the sister car, in the hands of Marcus Sorensen. Glorious V8 sound. Johnny retains a second teammate currently confirmed for here in the Nurburgring and for the next 2 races. Daniel Serra, after great performance at the Le Mans 24 Hours, comes out with an extended deal for Aston Martin Racing this year. He definitely can't race at Bahrain. There's a full season commitment in the Brazilian Stock Car Championship. But the 3 races, including this one, now confirmed for Brazilian star Daniel Serra.
Matt Griffin, the first man to do a flying lap here in qualifying. The number 61 Ferrari, the 488 GTE, going down the hill. A lot of people going wide there, as he does. A lot of people going wide there this morning and in free practice yesterday. Down the hill, down the hill, down the hill, and then hard on the brakes. You know, a lot of back corners here at this circuit as well, meaning that they can brake just so much later and carry the speed through the positive cambered tarmac here at the Nurburgring. Fast up the hill, brilliant series of left, right flicks there as he comes over the crest, over the bump, and now starts his way to go on the fastest part of this course, building speed out of the that series, and then you can see that flat right-hander up towards the chicane, top right of your corner, and then up to this chicane. It's the first of the 2 chicanes that we are using here this weekend. Not hitting those curbs. Watched from there yesterday, a lot of people hitting those curbs initially too hard, and it really unsettles the car. So the justice is instant if you get too greedy. As now he comes up to cross the line for the first time. He goes over the line, he does a 1:56.1, which is a good time. A good time. The quickest AM time this morning was a 57.5.
But it's not going as good as the time put in by Pedro Lamy. It's a 1:55.686 from Pedro Lamy. Beat Matt Griffin's times all the way through as we got a run on at turn 1 for the number 67 car. That's Andy Priaulx.
That's his first flyer, scrapped.
It'll be interesting to see whether or not we see a message that Matt Griffin keeps that lap time, because he was outside track limits. We'll wait to see whether or not that one's going to be given a bit of a bye. First, the pro cars to put in a time. Marcus Sorensen, top of the tree already, of course, 1:54.221. The pro cars quicker all around than the AMs, with the difference in balance performance between the 2 classes.
Here is the number 92 Porsche in the GTE Pro class. It's quick at the first, quick at the second intermediate split. The time he's got to beat is a 1:54.2, and he does a 1:53.779. He is top of Pro from the Aston, from the Porsche, from the Ford, from the Aston. In AM, it's Lamy in the Aston, from Cairoli in the Porsche, from Griffin in the Ferrari.
First Ferrari time in Pro comes through. Davide Rigon puts a 71 car up into 4th position. Just over half a second separates that top 4. Porsche from Aston Martin, Porsche and Ferrari, with the Ford a further, first the Ford's a further half second back. 67 car, of course, with that run on at turn 1, has not yet posted a flying lap time.
Here's Cairoli. Cairoli currently second in GTE AM, as he makes his way through the next section. He goes through section 2 in a moment. It's quite a late section. Section 3 on the splits is a very short section here at the Nurburgring. Cairoli 42.0, that's a PB, personal best for him, but not an absolute best in class at the moment. Into the last corner, through the right-hander, hugs that barrier on the right-hand side, lets it drift over the curb. Now he's just got to go up the gearbox. Time he's got to beat is a 55.6. He does a 55.76.
Ooh,
whoa, great shot.
Fantastic stuff from Matteo Cairoli. Held it beautifully there. The car fully airborne over the curbs. Meantime, Matt Griffin does indeed lose a lap time with track limits violation. I think, yes, indeed, car 92, Michael Christensen, loses the current lap as well.
On board with the GTE Pro Porsche, the number 91, that's Richard Leitz at the wheel. He knows his way around here. He drove in the 24-hour race here.
He does
just over a month ago with Mante Racing. Don't forget that the 24-hour race that they have here doesn't just use the Nordschleifer, it uses this as well.
It most certainly does. And first pit stops, first down pit lane, Pedro Lamy in the provisional pole sitting number 98 Aston Martin. Also in Michael Christensen in the 92 Porsche. Marcus Sorensen pits in the number 95 Aston Martin as Davide Rigon goes up to second position, 1:54.204 in the 71 Ferrari. So now it's Porsche from Ferrari, from Aston Martin, 1, 2, 3. Ford not yet in this battle. Andy Priaulx, though, has put in a flying lap. The full field of GT pros, with the exception of Alessandro Pierguidi, who is yet to actually post a time in the 51 car, separated by just over a single second.
This is the final chicane, and you can see that Aston Martin, the AM car, just kissing the curb, not going too near the yellow part of the curb, and you don't want to hit that. It will really jar your back, let alone put you a foot or two offline. They are evil curbs, but they're there for a reason.
Absolutely right. Car 91 and 61 both deleted their latest lap, so that's a second consecutive lap for Matt Griffin that they're losing out on, as Alessandro Pierguidi posts a flying lap time finally, but not a quick one. Matt Griffin, meanwhile, follows Matteo Caroli down pit lane. So we're about to see second drivers coming into play. Paul Dall'Anna, the first of them, in the 98 car that leads the way in GTM.
55.6 he's got to beat, 56.1 it is over the line for Matt Griffin in the GTE AM.
Miguel Molina. It's Miguel in the 54 car.
Sorry, yeah.
It's so Miguel Molina was part of the pro lineup in the 71 car for the Le Mans 24 Hours, reverts to what is going to be his season-long car, the 54 car shared with Francesco Castellacci and Thomas Fleur. We will be seeing Thomas Fleur in that car next.
This is Andy Priaulx. We saw him have a lock-up earlier. He's had to get it all together now as they are watching him. He's got a lot of work to do. He's 7th out of the 8 GTE Pro cars at the moment. This will be his quick lap. Over the line he goes. 54.8 he's got a beat, and he does a 55 flat.
Yep, and he was, I think, a little wide. And bad news, further bad news for the 51 squad. That lap time that Alessandro Pierguidi put in has been deleted for track limits. So the 51 car still yet to post a flying lap time at all in the hands of Alessandro Pierguidi. Ferraris do appear to be finding it difficult here to stay on within track limits. Pierguidi, by the way, responds, we're watching him now, with the ultimate fastest middle sector, but he's going to need it. This will probably be his last chance before handing the car over. It's wide again at the exit there.
Yeah, but he's still on the black stuff, just. It's elsewhere that the problem is. He comes over the line. Pierguidi goes 5th for the 51. So, let's look at it this way, Graham. Top 6 in GTE Pro, covered by 0.7 of a second. Top 8 covered by 1.1 seconds. But the lead that Porsche have at the top is nearly half a second.
Absolutely right.
That is an enormous chunk, whilst everybody else is scrabbling amongst themselves.
A cracking lap from Michael Christensen, and one of the new stars of Porsche Motorsports.
Look at that gap at the bottom of your screen. They are, of course, are Ferraris 0.42 back. Mighty lap from Christensen.
Absolute nicky team now aboard the number 95 Aston Martin. For my money, one of the quickest GT drivers in the world at the moment. Young Dane. And indeed, I'm afraid he was right. That lap has been deleted for the 51 car, and that was track limits at turn 17, exit left-hand side.
So last corner.
Last corner, he was wide. It's the white line that counts. And that's what Eduardo Freitas will be looking at with his usual hawk-eye accuracy.
I mean, it's not a discussion for the last 8 3/4 minutes, Graham, but something's got to change here, and it won't be the drivers. They're wired up differently. They do their own thing.
The reality is...
It spoils the show for us and the fans.
But it spoils the show because they're not obeying the rules. And it's as simple as that. I think, you know, do I like to see drivers pushing, you know, beyond the limits if they possibly can and get away with it? Of course I do. But them's the rules. And if everybody else is putting in a 150, Kevin, you know, if Michael Christensen can put in a 153.7 whilst remaining on the track, it's not fair to allow someone to push that bit harder for advantage.
So I'm always amused when people say, oh, it's slippery, there's no grip out there. Somebody's still got to win the race.
Someone's going to win the race, and as we say, we've got somebody out there with a half a second advantage, and that's we would presume, a combination of the way that car has been presented and the talent of the driver. They're the two factors that matter right now. 95, the hands of Nicky Team. Should be the first of these cars to put in a second flying lap. Paul Dall'Anna has already done so in the number 98 Aston Martin. It should be the number 95 that comes through and does so here.
So just to remind you, the two drivers will have then an average lap time between them. So if one does a 156, one does a 154, it's going to be a 155. That'll be the lap time that will go forward for the grid. Brilliant series. Look at him dancing over the curves there as he makes his way to the crest of that slight rise. Now plunging downhill comes the number 97. Sixth in class at the moment. Split 133.4. That's what he's got to do. That's what he's got to do. Stop about now over the white line. 35.1. You can see the line painted on the racetrack. Great acceleration from all of these cars out of that final chicane towards that last corner. Time ticking away. All of that time is his. The target is in yellow. The absolute is in purple. And it's going to be 8th at the moment for that number 97 Aston Martin. Johnny Adam. Here, though, is the number 91 Porsche. It's 3rd in class at the moment. Looks like Makovici at the wheel. Yes, it is. And this is a screaming, angry car, isn't it?
It's got a new exhaust from Le Mans onwards, this car, and it sounds, from trackside, fantastic. Sounds great in car as well. Proper GT racing car. And this new, well, breed of GT Pro cars, I guess headlined initially by the Ford GT and by this car, the Ferrari 488, just look like bringing just more raw racing aggression back into GT racing and ACO rules racing. That's Michael Christensen. You'd barely believe, would you, they'd just been out there and wrung the neck of a Porsche 911 RSR.
Looks like a very calm data engineer, doesn't he?
He looks as if he's about to make a telling moving chess, doesn't he?
Yes. But alas, as you say, what speed he has just given. Oh, we've got a spinner.
That is Thomas Fleur. And will he get that out of there? Let's hope so.
Should do, should do, should do. Meanwhile, this looks like number 97, Johnny Adam at the helm. Yes, it is. Here's the next split, 33.4. He's got a hit, 35.1. Now, we saw with the Ferrari, they were letting the pressures out, so they're keeping the tyres on the car. So the best of the tyres, arguably, has gone.
Well, let's wait and see. We've traditionally seen the quicker time set in the first part of qualifying. Most of the GT Pro cars have gone through to set a second time. The gap, first to second, has come down. Nicky Team has brought the number 95 Aston Martin up to second position. Kevin Estre has retained the provisional pole in the number 92 Porsche, but the gap now down to 3.5 tenths. Team, though, is on pit lane. Johnny Adam, meanwhile, is going to be the latest man to have a lap time deleted. Nicky Team is out of the car. I think that's them done. They'll be retaining what they can. Their Dunlop tyres for tomorrow.
Remember that the GTE Pro cars have got 4 sets plus 2.
Yep.
From now to the end of the race, but the GTE Ams have got 6 sets plus 2. So if you use lots today, you're just taking new tyres away from yourself tomorrow.
Fred Mako up into 3rd position. Meanwhile, Porsche 1-3 right now.
Inch perfect. Look how close that inside front was to the yellow curbing. Absolutely perfect positioning for that car as the number 92 winds itself up. Kevin Estre coming in 3 minutes to go, so unless they're going to be in and out, they've got to leave at sort of 2 minutes. They've got 60 seconds to do what they need to do, or he's coming in and he's staying in.
In the meantime, James Collado emerges with under 3 minutes to go for his first flying lap. Of his first, he's going to get one lap, isn't he?
Here's Ben Barker. Sorry, Ben Barker over the top of the hill. Third in class at the moment.
So the Aston Martin, by the way, in this class, half a second to the good on average over the number 77 Dempsey Proton car. Ben Barker has put this car back up to third position with a much improved flying lap. 156.258 for the tall Englishman. And boy, is he tall. He's bringing the car in now. So looking for where improvements might come. Estra has brought the 92 Porsche in. Nicky Team's 95 Aston Martin is in. The 66 Ford is in. This, though, is Harry Tinknell in the 67 Ford. Currently 6th place in the overall order. What can Tinks do here? I'm not sure this is a particularly quick lap.
He needs to find just a tenth of a second. If he finds 2 tenths, he'll be going up 2 places on the average.
It's not going to be that lap that does it.
No. Another reason why Ben Barker came in, he needed to find as good as a second, and he wasn't going to do that. Save it, save it. You're third. It's all together. Everybody can sleep well tonight.
So Tinknell and Collado and Tony Verlander, the 3 men to watch there. The last 3 out there. The Aston Martin leading GTM is in. Ben Barker is in from third. Can Christian Reed close the gap? Currently second in the Dempsey Proton car. Thomas Fleur and Mok Wing Sung prop up the field in their GTM cars, the 54 and 61 Ferraris respectively. But I think the final minute here comes Tony Verlander. No improvement there. But we're dealing here with tenths that could make a difference. So that was James Collado. As Collado just keeps it on the island, has to put in. Well, he has now put in a flying lap. He's put in a first flying lap for the 51 car for the second driver. Currently 7th. With Tinknell and Verlander certainly within range of a good lap time here. 30 seconds to go on the clock, so this will be his last opportunity to improve. Tinknell, though, will be looking to do what he can to both extend the gap and do what he can about the cars ahead of him. So Verlander, Tinknell, Collado, 3 very quick men in some very quick machinery. Here comes the Ford.
Coming in.
And that's it. He's clearly down on the Delta.
And that's it, 6th position for him.
So he, at the moment, is the target for James Collado.
Pole position in GTE Pro, going to the number 92 Porsche. That is Michael Christensen and Kevin Estra. You saw them celebrating in the garage, just over a third of a second ahead of Nicky Team's number 95 Aston Martin, sharing that with Marcus Sorensen. So Team, as you said earlier, Graham, a big lap to try and close the gap on to the Porsche, but it was the Porsche that got the pole position. Porsche in 3rd position with Makovici and Richard Leitz. Stefan Mucker, the Ford number 66, then in 4th position together with Olivier Plat. Then it's the Ferrari, the Ford, the Ferrari, the Aston.
Change at the line in GTM, 3rd quickest for the number 54 Spirit of Race car. Thomas Fleur putting in a big improvement for that car and overhauling the 86 Golf Porsche.
Let's have a quick catch up though with our pole position men in the number 92 car. What have they got to say?
Well, Kevin Estra, that was a superb run in qualifying.
HF1. HF1.
For all Germany, for the whole team, because it's been tough for us so far in qualifying in Spa, and it just feels great to bring a pole here. It was a mega. He gave me some tips and it helped me for my lap. So I'm really pleased. It's only qualifying, but at the end it's really nice to stand on top and see what it brings.
Thank you. Well done.
Yeah, nice to be on top, certainly. Nice to be on top in front of the big bosses here at the Nurburgring.
Important race for Porsche, both in the GT class and indeed in LMP1. And we'll see the LMP cars out in just a few minutes' time. So a pole position for Porsche, another pole position for Aston Martin. as the 98 car looked to set about the task of closing the gap to the Clearwater Racing team.
Positively, as I want to come back to it again, Graham, you know, it's a 1 minute 54 second lap, so it's 114 seconds around here, and the top 6 in GTE Pro covered by 0.8.
Yep, that's, you know,
on an average, but even so.
Absolutely,
you know,
right.
It's going to be another Le Mans, isn't it? With anybody can win this race, you've got to hit every single apex, every single gear change, spot on. If you lose 2/10, it might take you an hour to get the place back.
Well, the interesting thing here is going to be a chat with Aston Martin after this session, because they've got a car at the sharp end with the number 95 car, Nicky Thiem and Marcus Sorensen, but also a car propping up the order a little way off the pace with Johnny Adam and Daniel Serra putting in the qualifying duties there. So this is the car, remember, that got the performance break. That is the overall classification, including all of the GT Pro cars. Porsche from Aston Martin, then the second Porsche, Ford, Ferrari, then the second Aston Martin, which is just a little bit ahead of the first of the AM cars. Happily for them, pole position for the Aston Martin, number 98 Aston Martin racing team, ahead of the number 77 Porsche. Then we've got the 54 Ferrari, 86 Gulf Racing Porsche, and the championship leading 61 Clearwater car. And in no small part, that will be because Matt Griffin had those laps deleted at the start of the session.
Yeah, on the new tyres as well.
On the new
so
tyres.
You lost the newness, you lost the freshness of the super grippy new rubber underneath him. Look at the different ways to skin a cat. Look at the different lines around this final chicane. The way that the Porsche had a tighter line on the way in, but the Aston Martin was just, with the AM car at least, taking a slightly wider line on the way in, but it's so difficult to hit every single inch spot on. But that's racing, that's qualifying, and that's why these guys are the best GT drivers in the world, as these guys push their cars back towards Parc Fermé, which is at the beginning of the pit lane. Going to be weighed, going to be measured, size of the wings, etc. Okay then, from one page we go to another, from one chapter we go to another, but moreover it's a completely different book as we now look forward to our LMP1 and LMP2 cars to go through qualifying. Jose Maria Lopez, he is going to be starting in that car. No, he is not asleep. He's running through a lap in his head, just like the downhill skiers do before they attack the Hannon Calm at Kitzbühel, and knowing every single bump, every single gear change, where to brake, and get it all turned in, and how they can get a 10th here and half a 10th there. In the LMP2 class this morning, it was the G Drive, number 26 of Rusinov, Thirier and Hanley, that was the quickest in free practice. The two Alpines were third and fourth fastest in class in free practice this morning, but at the sharp ends it was the two Porsches, yesterday, the two Porsches that were quickest from the two Toyotas. The two Toyotas were quickest this morning from the two Porsches, so round and round it goes, doesn't it?
We're going to see, aren't we? Next 20 minutes on track, we're going to see what pace these cars have got. Remember, this is the debut for the Porsche's high downforce body kit, designed for the remainder of this 2017 FI World Endurance Championship season. Additional grip available to the teams. Now the streamlining of Le Mans is less of an advantage. And we're ready to go. 38 car. Now what a story this car had at Le Mans. Oh, so nearly. It could have won the race. It could have won the Le Mans 24 hours. The drivers of this car, third in the World Championship at the moment, the Drivers' World Championship, behind the lead Porsche and the second place Toyota. So astonishing stuff from the LMP2 class, which against very many people's expectations, and I have to say mine, were remarkably reliable. Rebellion had, well, a post-race to forget, disqualified with their better of the two cars. This car, the number 31 car, disqualified post-race for a bodywork modification made to help them to restart the car. They were struggling with the starter motor.
And remember, it was the number 38 sister car to this one here that had a starter motor problem at the beginning of the race anyway. So there was a problem with those starters. Some got it managed. Some were lucky, some were unlucky.
Well, the reality was,
it is.
I think it was a risk that they decided to take. It's a good half-hour job to change a starter motor on these cars. It is a floors off job for the Oreca, which is at least half an hour.
Now there is the new aero kits for the Porsche 919. Smaller eyes, less lights. Don't need the lights now between now and the end of the season.
Nope.
Really.
No, we run into dusk in a couple of places, but not in full darkness.
Not at the back of Le Mans, are we?
No, and of course from Bahrain we run under the lights. So what it means is that they can put some of that extra weight required somewhere else on the car.
Absolutely.
Which is, gives them better balance. But particularly interesting, I think, is the very aggressive angle at which those dive planes on the front bodywork are actually mounted. Rebellion debuted their Fiante Rebellion colours at the Le Mans 24 Hours. The two cars ready to go. They will be looking to make up ground points here. A couple of new drivers to the team this weekend. Pipo Derani and Philippe Albuquerque join the effort this weekend, placing Messrs Piquet and Prost, otherwise engaged. We will be back for the flyaways. 26 car, another car with a replacement driver, Alex Lynn, with a previous engagement, and being replaced by Ben Hanley from the Dragon Speed team in the LMS, flying high.
So then, you've been sitting at the end of pit lane for as good as a minute. The session starts in another minute and 20 seconds time. Tyre temperature will be dropping, but you sacrifice that for track position and hopefully, you hope, a clear run when you start your flying lap.
1 minute. We are under 1 minute to start the LMP qualifying session. Under 1 minute to start LMP qualifying session. Please remind your drivers to respect track limits, especially at T1 and T4. Any track limit infringement in those two turns will entail the lap being lost immediately.
Well, he's put down the marker in the GT session. Multiple cars losing multiple laps. And that did make a difference, the overall order, without a shadow of a doubt.
30 seconds to go green, under 30 seconds to go green.
The measured tone of Eduardo Freitas, and it will be just a few more seconds. As another of the cars, that's one of the Jackie Chan DC Racing cars. Just a few seconds more, and we will get what are becoming one of the most recognisable 10 words.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pit exit should be green. LMP qualifying session has started. Please remind your drivers to respect track limits, especially at T1 and T4.
Me, you.
Pit lane marshal Alan Tenier gets that sorted out. He's the sheriff. Don't mess when the sheriff's in town, and he most certainly is here at the Nurburgring. Out goes number 25, Manor. In the Manor sandwich is the 34 Tockwith car, the 24 Manor. We'll talk about that a little later. There's Alain. No, you. No, you. You stay there. He wasn't going to be bullied by the Porsche, was he?
Racing drivers, they're always racing. They're always racing. Okay, well, we are riding on board with Neil Jarney. It was Brendan Hartley in the sister Porsche in the number 8 Toyota. It is Kazuki Nakajima going around the hairpin at the moment. In the meantime, let's catch up with what's going on in Mike Conway's car.
Yeah, Jose, for your info, his target is to do our outlap during the in-lap of the first run of LMP1. Okay.
So Mike Conway in the garage.
No, it's not Mike Conway, that's Lopez.
That's the 7. Ah, right, sorry. They're going to be doing their outlap as they do their inlap, so they're going to stagger the two Toyotas out on track. Quite sure what the advantages of that, other than finding out over a full lap what track conditions are, what's working, what's not. We're keeping an ear open for what's going on the pit car radio. It's a very odd one, that.
They're very sure it's not going to rain.
Oh, very sure, yes. It's quite dark.
normal rules don't apply here.
Well,
do you know what I mean, with regards to weather?
Oh, indeed. Yeah, they clearly are very sure it's not going to rain.
Because that's an out lap, a flying lap, and an in lap.
Before they release the other car.
That's 5-6 minutes.
Yeah.
He's in the car.
That's wide. So that's not I think was looking for the first flyer. So the number 8 car in the hands of Kazuki Nakajima. I think he was possibly outside limits there. We'll keep an eye on it, but quickest of the lot of them out there at the moment. Nakajima, Japanese driver, of course, in the number 7.
Here we go. Here's the rear view of how wide he goes.
Bye-bye. That lap is not going to count.
There you go, and Anthony knows it. Anthony knows it.
Yes, one man inscrutable, the other rather more expressive. So, could that just be advantage Porsche at this stage? Whilst Nakajima was quicker, Neil Yanni now takes the fastest first sector.
Oh, goodness me, I thought he was in the wall.
Oh, I think he thought the Alpine had seen him.
Yeah.
Pulled to the right.
Holy smoke, look at this. That's a proper frightening moment.
And it was a weave, and a weave in front.
And the service road on the left, and he went over it, and he...
That could well be a penalty coming the way of Nelson Panziatici, weaving to warm the tyres, but clearly had not noticed the Toyota coming up so fast behind. That could be an enormous accident.
It's exactly what Alex Brundle was telling me this morning. You know, at Le Mans, it's a big racetrack.
Absolutely.
Here, it's only 5.1 kilometres, not 13 odd. And yeah, there are less cars, but you come into those cars so quickly. He said it is just boom, 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 boom. You're driving through a snowstorm of cars coming at you.
Car 35 reported to the stewards for dangerous driving. I'm not surprised that was not his finest moment, but we have already got flying lap times through from both the Porsches, both in the 138s, and car 8 indeed does have that lap time deleted, as car 7 in the hands of Pachito Lopez emerges into the fray. So Porsche 1-2, Toyota will have that lap time deleted.
So they haven't done a lap time yet?
No.
Because they've only done one flyer and it's been taken away.
Correct, but leading the way at the moment, LMP2, it is a Rebellion 1-2, Bruno Senna from Matthias Bech, but that changes immediately with Thomas Laurent in the 38 car, the arch rivals in this battle, making their way through to second place in the LMP2 stakes, 4th overall, of course, at the moment, with the Toyotas having not yet set a flying lap. So it's 31 from 38 and 13. With Ben Hanley in the 26 car, his debut with this team, going through to take a provisional pole position time, 1:44.331, almost a full second ahead of the time set by Bruno Senna on his first flying lap.
1.7 seconds faster than this morning's free practice.
Wow.
That's a lot. What a little star.
So Brendan Hartley, quickest overall at the moment, 1:38.292. Remember, this is the first of 2 drivers in each of these cars. We'll need to set a fast lap, and then the pole time, or rather the qualifying time, averaged across the 2. So 1:38.2 as Brendan Hartley pits immediately.
So as he comes down pit lane...
Both Porsches
Both
pit.
of them, yeah. That's Neil Jarni in there with the number 1 car. Here is Hartley. Look at the press.
Kaz Nakajima, meanwhile, has logged a lap time, but it's only a 1:44. It is 6 seconds almost off pole position because he's not yet posted a flying lap.
And here's a flying driver about to get in, replacing another flying driver in that number 1 Porsche, Andre Lotterer. Eventually gets the airline out of the way. In he goes. He doesn't need an extra seat. He's the tallest guy in that team. Now then, what's going on with LMP2 as we come over the line? Hanley's still quickest, as Graham told you. He has an advantage of half a second more over Matthias Bech.
It's Bech has gone up to second because Bech was behind Senna on the previous lap. So Matthias Bech has been the man on the move there, but not enough. Meantime, keep an eye on the number 7 Toyota because Pachito Lopez has just done the fastest first sector of the session so far. Under 45 seconds for the first time. So that Toyota looking racy at the moment, but they're going to need to. Just 13 minutes left.
And this is his first flyer, but there are only 2 cars in the pits at the moment. So, what their strategy was, I need somebody far cleverer than me to work that out. But he's got a clear run, so it's working out for him, isn't it? As he comes up to the final corner. Down the gears, 2nd gear. You watch him 3rd, 4th, 5th gear, 6th gear as he comes over the line. Logs the time, and he goes quickest. 1:38.0. It did work out, a clear run. He's on pole position at the moment by 0.2 of a second, but he's only the first of the 2 drivers who need to log a time for that particular chassis.
But they have in their pocket the talents of Kamui Kobayashi, pole position man at Le Mans, of course, but that's a great run from Pachito Lopez, Jose Maria Lopez, after an awful start to his season. Lots of people expressing some doubts about whether or not he had the pace in this car. Well, he's shown that he does, certainly over a single lap, beating the best time so far of the Porsches. Timo Bernhard is now back out, is rather out for the first time in the number 2 Porsche. Brendan Hartley putting in a 1:38.292. Pachito Lopez, a 1:38.083 from the Argentinian. Well, it just goes to show that if you can be quick in a touring car, you can be quick in a hybrid sports car too. Really make another attempt at this, or will we see the Toyota down pit lane immediately as well? And Nakajima, meanwhile, 2 has put in a quick lap time. He's also in the 38, so less than 9/10 of a second separate the top 4, all 4 of the LMP1 hybrids.
Now then, here is this a replay of Matt Rao running on? No, it's the 2 Jackie Chan cars getting very close to each other indeed as they try and keep out of the way. One of them just about did. I'm sure the team was on the radio to the pair of them pretty well at the same time. As that, it looks like David Cheng coming through the final chicane. Meanwhile, back with Timo Bernhard. He knows his way around this place, doesn't he? He knows his way around the Nordschleife as well. What was he, a 5-time winner? Like 3 times?
Certainly, I've had the pleasure of talking about several with Bonsai. That was Jackie Chan DC racing car doing what the Alpine did earlier, which is seeing the car coming and just staying on his line rather than actually taking the apex of the corner.
Flat through here, brilliant run as he comes up the hill over the slight rise. Now he's got to stand on the anchors, down the gearbox. You can hear the drive shaft recharging the energy into the battery, and now the speed B builds.
Remember, this is the 2nd driver in the car. Lopez has pitted after putting in that earlier lap. There's a lap time deleted for the 24 Manor car that's going to be in major trouble in the race with a 7-minute stop-go penalty assessed yesterday after a red flag infringement for Jonathan Hershey. Timo Bernhard, though, fastest overall in the 2nd sector. This is going to be a very good run indeed for the number 2 car. Quicker still, though, Andre Lotterer. Bernhard goes through in a 1:38.252, shaves a little bit of time off the best from the best Porsche time. Andre Lotterer, though, I think is going to be quicker still.
38.6 is the best by the car. 38.2 he's just done.
No, he's not. He's done a 37.8. He's gone. His first one under 1:38. It's the average now comes down to 1:38.2. And this is where there's a law of diminishing gain for these drivers.
Of course.
They've now got just enough time to decide, has Andre done enough, done as much as he can, and can the first driver get back into that car and improve more? Because that's where the gain could come, because it's now a matter of averages. So cracking lap there from Andre Lotterer. That is the fastest time of the session, but it's no better than 3rd place at the moment on the grid for the number 1 Porsche. It is still the number 7 Toyota, but it's going to be critical here to see what kind of pace Kamui Kobayashi can squeeze out of the number 7 Toyota. If he can get anything close to the time set by Andre Lotterer, it's going to make it very difficult indeed for Porsche to take pole position.
Here, though, is Anthony Davidson. He's on an outlap. Now he'll start a flyer. 4th at the moment is that Toyota. It is from the top. Toyota, then Porsche. Porsche, then Toyota. That is your top 4 at the moment. That car may be in the wrong place, maybe not giving Anthony the last couple of meters that he wanted to use on this racetrack. You can see the darkened tinted screen as opposed to the untinted side window to the right-hand side. Look at the violence in the car. Look how he's been pushed around. He goes down the gearbox, 6 to 4. Down another gear, 2 gears to second. Turns it in, turns it in. He wants to wash away as he goes downhill. Now building speed again, 6th gear. Into the right-hander, the hairpin at the bottom of the hill, though, is part of the circuit. Davidson, personal best at the first intermediate point.
Let's wait both the Porsches, though, on pit lane. Now, are they going to dispatch the first drivers again, or are they going to say, that's enough for the moment? Critical point in this session for overall pole position is going to be, do Porsche execute a driver change at this point?
Back though with Anthony Davidson as he builds speed to over 200 miles an hour, 320 plus kilometers an hour. Lotterer gets out. That should be Gianni getting in. Graham, you are in charge of a crystal ball this afternoon. As Anthony Davidson with a number 8 Toyota, 4th at the moment. The best average is a 38.9. Needs to do it. This is the first flyer from the second driver. He does a 38.4, reduces the average to a 38.7. Still, though, they stay in 4th position. But crucially, Graham, they need to find on average 4.4 of a second to even get up to 3rd. Yeah, is that achievable?
At the 8, I'd be very surprised, but that's something utterly extraordinary from Anthony Davidson. What am I saying? But what he's done is he's closed the gap by 0.2 of a second to the 2 Porsches. Now it's game on. Now we've got to the point where Porsche are going to dispatch, we think, both these cars with the first drivers reinstalled to see whether or not they can make an improvement. Here comes Kamui Kobayashi. What can he do? He goes through with... Now that, I think, that's improved the average. So it's now an average 138.118 from Kamui Kobayashi and Pachito Lopez. It stretches the gap to 0.154 a second on average. Under 6 minutes to go. Timo Bernhard's number 2 car pitted. Andrea Lotterer's number 1 car. We saw Neil Janney climbing aboard that car. Meantime, we've got, I think, a pretty similar situation with the 38 car.
As we ride on board with the number 35 Signature Alpine. Same rules for last year, weren't they? Quickest lap from each driver.
Yes.
Last year's pole, just to put this into perspective, an average was a 39.4. We're on a 38.1 at the moment. Wow. There's 1.3 seconds, just like that. Here we have the Signatec Alpine. All arms and elbows inside that one. Gustavo Menezes is soaring away at the wheel. Got some work to do. He is down in class. Down in class.
He's way down at the moment, 146.4. Improves to 11th position overall, 7th in class. Spin, meanwhile, for Julien Canal in 3rd place at the grid at the moment, 31, Rebellion Orica. That was turn 1. Tried to get the car turned in, but didn't have the braking, didn't have the grip to pull that through.
Back though with the lead car in LMP2, sorry Graham, the pole position car in LMP2 as it makes its way down the hill. This is Ollie Jarvis at the helm at the moment, the man who finished 2nd at Le Mans in an LMP2 car. And then we have the Colles has gone wide at the exit of turn 5.
Team struggling with this car all weekend with severe vibrations. That was way, way, way wide from Dom Kryhammer. And new tyres, being told by Lewis Beckett down in the pit lane, going on to the number 7 car.
But they have to really, Graham, because
they've got to be ready.
4th in class, they're essentially last.
The 7, no, this is the pole position car.
Oh, the 7, sorry.
So I think they're ready to respond should Porsche release...
Lotterer.
Should they release Gianni. I don't think they have an intention of going back out, but I think they're just getting ready should there be a last gasp attempt.
Look at them, they're all in.
They're just ready. They're this is like, you know, this is hair trigger stuff. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen now.
And if they leave at 3 minutes, they'll get 2 flyers.
No, they'll get 1 flyer.
No, they get... Sorry, yeah. Sorry.
So, 26, meanwhile, goes to pole position in LMP2. Pierre Thiriet overhauls the 38. Jackie Chan DC racing car. So it's going to be now about what Ollie Jarvis can pull out in this last flyer or two.
Whoa, tail happy.
The next 40 seconds will tell us whether or not we're going to get a battle at the end here. It's about 2.5 minutes left. They need the time, of course, to get round to start a flying lap.
And they need to get down pit lane.
But they're towards the end of pit lanes, less of an issue.
True.
And Porsche are at pit out. Car 28 gets a lap time deleted, track limits. Car 24 gets a lap time deleted, track limits. Thiriet pits the number 26 car from the provisional pole position in LMP2.
Julian Canal still wagging away in his rebellion.
It's going to happen, it's got to be now.
In the meantime, let's have a quick catch-up with what Ollie Jarvis can do, because he's lost that pole position in LMP2 as he continues into the final corner. Ollie Jarvis, he needs to do, on average, he needs to find 0.3 of a second to get ahead of the G-Drive Orica in front of him. That lap time there, 45.4, is not going to trouble the scorers, he's not going to move him up the order, but second in class, no mean feat at all.
Everybody's belled, and I think I know what was going on there. I think they were looking to try to make the Totas go out with new tyres, because it's going to be about tyres this race, make no mistake about it. I think what they were doing there was that either they were going to go for a shot at it, they decided not to, but if they couldn't go for a shot at it, they would feint to the point where Toyota felt they had to respond.
And put the tyres through a heat cycle.
Correct.
But only used for 1 flyer.
Absolutely right.
Which is not good.
So
not good. They don't like a heat cycle. They don't mind being warmed in the ovens, but the heat cycle on track, which is plus another, what, 25, 30 degrees,
absolutely,
whatever it may be, and the usage, and a lot of blistering on the GT tyres this morning. GT, I know, different animal, but a lot of blistering.
So 27 seconds to go. That is done in LMP1. It will be Toyota, the number 7 car, on pole position.
So Mike Conway, Kamui Kobayashi, and Pachito Lopez taking the pole position here at the Nürburgring.
But look behind them, Toby. The gaps are tiny, 0.154 of a second on average to the number 2 car, and to the number 1 Porsche, just 6 thousandths of a second back against its team car. So the top 3 within 0.2 of a second on average over 2 flying laps. 26 G-Drive car.
That's about 0.2% of the lap covering the first 3 cars.
And it's a similar gap in the LMP2 class at the moment, with the clock having run down. The number 26 car, the G-Drive car, on pole position, but will have a 3-minute stop go in the race for the issue for Roman Rusanov in the Le Mans 24 Hours, carrying that penalty into this race. Oliver Jarvis not able to chase down that total, but 0.2 of a second is the gap there as well. So it's 26 from 38, then the first of the Rebellions crosses the line now and will stay 3rd. Julien Canal bringing the 31 car home. Then the other Rebellion, 4th in the order. David Heimeyer Hansen bringing the 13 car back. Then the 35 car, André Negrão bringing the car home. But I think it was Nelson Panciatici, wasn't it, that was at the wheel of the car, that will be, I'm sure, taking a visit to the stewards after that terrifying moment with the Tota.
So then, the number 7 Toyota takes pole position here at the Nürburgring. Louise is going to be catching up with what they've got to say.
I'm just going to step in. They're just about to get ready for the photos, but we've just got to get a quick word because we're live now. Jose Maria Lopez, that was superb.
Yeah, I'm really happy. The team did a fantastic job. So congratulations to all the team Toyota. My teammates, Kamui, did a fantastic job as well. So yeah, it's a long race ahead of us. Doesn't say anything. But I'm happy for my part, you know, first time in quali to be able to fight for pole, and yeah, satisfaction is nice.
Did you think you were going to have to go back out?
We didn't know what Porsche was going to do, but yeah, that was the plan for us, and it worked well. I think in the beginning maybe we didn't thought that we were going to fight like that. Porsche looked very, very strong from the beginning. But yeah, I'm really happy, surprised a bit, but we will work now hard for tomorrow.
I'll let you go and pose for the photographers now. Thanks.
Well, that's a much-needed boost for the morale in Toyota. You know, they were unlucky at Le Mans last year. They were doubly unlucky this year as well, even though they had another entry. And yeah, that's what the Cologne guys need.
Give them a boost, and well, we saw it all there, didn't we? Raw speed, delighted for Paquito Lopez after such a trying start to his season.
And injury.
Got to see the smile, and indeed injury. And Kamui Kobayashi, aerodynamics firmly on display there from Kamui. And great to see the Argentinian putting a smile on his and the team's face. That's what Toyota need right now. Pierre Thiriet, delighted with that performance, and well done to him. Ben Hanley, that'll be a super sub that they'll be glad they signed. Went through a couple of possibilities who might be in the seat for that 26 car before alighting on the young Englishman.
So there you have it. It is Toyota Porsche on the front row here at the Nurburgring tomorrow for the 6-hour race. And then it is Porsche Toyota for row 2 on the head of LMP2. It's the 26G drive car ahead of the Le Mans podium standing Jackie Chan, number 38. The Rebellions then 3rd and 4th in class ahead of the Alpine and the Manor. Next up, it's the sister Signatec Alpine. Ahead of that, Jackie Chan, number 37, probably disappointed to be a bit low, but there you go, long race. Then it is the Bike-Colles car a little bit further back. We saw them have a bit of a spin, but they'll be cutting through the order later. In the meantime, more news from Ben Hanley.
Well, Ben Hanley, that's a way to enter the team, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, the team have done a great job all weekend, and we kind of mixed up the normal run plan, as to say, because we weren't so sure on the weather. So we did, we tried to get most of our running done yesterday, and it proved beneficial because the temperature now is different to the morning practice. So yeah, team did a fantastic job, and the car was great. So I just put a lap together, and the time even surprised me when I passed the finish line. So yeah, fantastic result for the team.
With the weather and the temperature in mind, what are your thoughts for tomorrow, excuse me?
Well, it should only get hotter in theory, but it's been changing all week. Every day it's slightly different to what it says the evening before, so we'll just take it as it comes. But hopefully, if it's a bit warmer, then that should help us even more. So yeah, can't wait to get started.
Thank you.
Ben Hanley, lots of experience this year with Orica Gibson machinery, principally in the LMS, but quite an understated man, Ben Hanley. Do I disagree with one thing? I think it will stay hot, but I think we're going to see some wet tomorrow as well. And that, Toby, should throw a massive, great big weather-related spanner in the works in a very good way.
A very large cat amongst these German pigeons, and that will be massive variety. Qualifying here at the Nurburgring got underway with the GT Pro and the GT Am categories.
Pit exit.
Once the lights were green, the first of the drivers made their way out onto the 5.1 kilometre long racetrack. And the race director saying, make sure you don't use too much of the racetrack. In the end, it was a good run by the number 77 Porsche. That got second in GTE Am, but it was the number 98 Aston Martin, Dallana, Lamy and Lauda that took pole in GTE Am. The number 91 Porsche was going well, Richard Leeds, Fred Makovici, but it was pipped towards the end of the session by the number 95, the Dane Train Team Sorensen car, but at home it was Porsche with number 92, Michael Christensen, Kevin Estra, who celebrated in the garage. Pole for them in GTE Pro with the brand new 911. Then the calm before the storm.
pit exit should be green.
And as it was green for the LMP1 and LMP2 cars,
please remind your drivers
they were all a bit too polite on who was going to go out on the racetrack first. It was, though, the number 8 Toyota that went out first from the number 2 Porsche to have a good, clean view of the racetrack. And then this terrifying moment with the Alpine weaving, but not seeing that the number 8 Toyota was coming past him. And that Alpine, I suspect when you look at the internet in about an hour's time, it will have been hauled unceremoniously through the steward's office, with the result slapping it up the backside as it leaves the room. In LMP2, tremendous battle, but eventually it was taken by the number 26 G-Drive car. They were over the moon in the LMP1 class. The Porsches fought. Did they fight? Third on the grid is the number 1 car. Second on the grid is the number 2 car, the Le Mans winning chassis from over a month, just under a month ago. But it was the Toyota of Mike Conway, Kamui Kobayashi, and Jose Maria Lopez that will start the 2017 Nurburgring 6 hours from pole position. What a boost for Toyota.
Well, flags still fluttering in the breeze, not expecting much wind tomorrow, but we are expecting a little rain, something like 40% chance of significant showers tomorrow during the race.
And that's going to be a factor. You know, every team is going to need somebody at the top of a grandstand just looking upwind, aren't they, Graham? It's the Nürburgring, and as I said earlier, normal rules don't apply to weather predictions.
Absolutely not. One thing you can predict with the FI World Endurance Championship and these 6-hour races is the unpredictable.
So far this year, Toyota have won 2 races, Porsche have won 1 in LMP1, and this being the 4th race of the season, can Porsche make it 2-all, or can Toyota continue their domination of the 6-hour races in the WEC? The action starts tomorrow. The race gets underway at 1 o'clock here in Germany. That is 11 a.m. GMT, wherever you are watching around the world, on TV or the WEC app. So make sure you put aside some time and join us and see what happens here at the Nürburgring. That was a great qualifying session. We expect our 6-hour race tomorrow to be full of action. And wherever you're watching from, down on the ground or up overhead, and wherever you may be watching from, maybe an American aircraft carrier, you never know where that may have come from. That's the glory. That's the glory of an app, Graham. You know that.
Love the old Harvard, I think that is. We get the victory wing.
And as it waves goodbye to us, we bid you farewell here from the Nürburgring, and we'll speak to you all tomorrow when we go racing.